Well, good morning, friends, and welcome to my new cooking channel. Yes, we're going to do some food preparation today for the spiders in my labs, and I'll show you how easy it is. So, what we're going to do is we're going to make up some flies. You'll see, it's very exciting, very easy too. So let me remove the mask. Oh, I should warn you, the thing you do beforehand, the important preparation stuff, is wash your hands thoroughly because we believe in hygiene in food preparation. So I've done that already. Hands are clean. Face is mostly clean. Let me set this aside and let's take a look at some flies. Oh boy. All right, first thing you might be asking is, what do I need to make flies? And there's a couple things. They're all right here. This is everything you need. First of all, I use this stuff. This is from Carolina Scientific. It is Formula 424 Instant Drosophila Medium Blue. I like the blue stuff. You can also get the beige stuff. But the blue stuff is great because if you get mold and things like that, it just jumps out at you and you can see really easily. Okay, so we got the Instant Drosophila Medium. We have a little package of yeast for feeding the adult flies. We have DI water here. This is just deionized water from our DI tap here in the lab. I have a little beaker for measuring things out. I have a fly bottle right there with a foam sponge that I can use to cork it off. And then you might say, most importantly of all, you need flies. So over here, what have I got? I got a little bottle of flies, and if you look closely, you can maybe see that all the little maggots have been browsing through the food, and they have crawled up on the sides, and they've been hatching out, and this bottle is just full of flies. One great tip is I work with wingless flies. Again, you can get these from Carolina Scientific. You get a little vial of flies. It's about 10 bucks. And the thing is, once you get them going, you can propagate them forever. So I think I bought my flies about 3 years ago for this project. And all of the flies I'm working with now are descendants of that small elite group. So we got all these flies thriving in here. All right, are we ready? Let's get started. Okay. So first thing you need, let's set up our fly bottle. I got a funnel here because I do not want to make a mess in my lab. And I'm going to get some of the fly medium. This is kind of imprecise. I don't worry too much about it. So I'm going to measure out. Oh yeah, that looks good. That's about 20 milliliters of fly medium, and you can see it just looks like little flakes here. It looks a lot like instant oatmeal. It's basically what it is, instant oatmeal with a few nutrients that are good for flies thrown in there. And I'm going to put that in our fly bottle. Does this look difficult so far? No, it should not. So there's our fly bottle with the dry medium in it. Come on, get down, there we go. So we got our fly medium there. And then I'm going to measure out an equal amount of DI water. And we'll add that. I give it a little swirl just to get the water mixed in, but not much. You don't want it gooey. So you just want to get the water in there. It will slowly absorb into the fly flakes, the medium flakes, and then you'll have this nice blue medium. Isn't that pretty? Does it look appetizing? We're not going to eat that. No, and the spiders are not going to eat that either. Then what I do is the blue medium is for the little larvae. The maggots are going to eat that. The adult spiders will be eating yeast, or the adult flies, excuse me. Don't mix them up. Anyway, so I just add just a few grains of yeast to that medium, and that's what the adult flies will dine on. And you say, where are the adult flies? Well, let's get them right here. So as I said, there's a bunch of adult flies in here. There's also a bunch of pupae. There's also little larvae crawling through the medium right now. A bottle like this will last, maybe a month, just constantly churning out more adults that I drain off and throw to the spiders. So this is a good investment. It'll keep going for a good long while. So all I do, let's knock down the adults. I turn it over. That's good. Oh, come on out, guys. Yeah. Oh, they're clinging very tightly to the medium. Stop that. That's good. So I'm a little imprecise here. Yeah, you know, like the great chefs, you don't measure things. You just kind of fling them in. And what I've done is I've put in, about half a dozen flies in here. If this were a genetic cross, I would be much more concerned about making sure I got appropriate ratios of males and females. For this, I don't care. I really don't care. These flies are just going to proliferate in here. And as I said, eventually we'll get a bottle that looks like this with lots of pupae and lots of little larvae in there. So that's all ready to go. I just set this aside for 9 days or about 2 weeks, and the flies will produce lots of eggs and produce lots of little maggots and produce lots of pupae, and then in about 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, they'll start hatching out. I raise them in an incubator at 28 degrees centigrade, so yeah, it's the 9-day generation time for these guys, but it's fine to do them at room temperature. So I sometimes just leave them out here in the lab at room temperature, and those will work just fine at producing flies. It'll just take a little longer. But you're in no hurry, and like I say, they just keep spewing out baby flies. As I said, this will last about a month, and what I do is I generally come in once a week and make a few flies, a little bottle like this, and set them aside. All right, y'all got it? That's easy. So, first ingredient, make flies. Next step in the cafe is presentation and service. Of course, we have to present the flies to the spiders, and so that's what we're going to do next. So here what I have is a nice little batch of spiders in these little plastic containers. I've just found these very convenient for the babies, so we're raising a bunch of baby spiders here. And I put them in the incubator upside down because they tend to gravitate down and form cobwebs underneath. So then I can just roll them over, and I'm going to pop the lids off. There are all our diners. You probably can't see them at this magnification, but there's a bunch of lovely little spiders in here. They're all eager for their meal. Now, one of the things I can do is, because the spiders are ambush predators and they're not very active most of the time, I can just pop the lid off and they're fine. They'll just sit there waiting patiently for their meal, so it's no problem at all. The flies, on the other hand, are a bit of a pain. They will be constantly trying to escape, but we will not allow them to escape. They are doomed. They are going to feed our customers here. Okay, so what do we do? So I've got a couple of tools here. I have this cheap plastic cup right there. I have paintbrushes. That's what we're going to manipulate them with. Now, what I'm going to do is I take a bottle of flies. How do those look? Yeah, those look fine. and then I invert them and dump them into the plastic cup. Again, these are wingless flies. These are mutants. They can't fly. It makes this really easy. So you can see there's a little pile of flies down here awaiting their fate. They're kind of scurrying around, and they will climb up the sides, but we don't care. All right, so what I've done then is I've opened up these containers. I typically do about 4 at a time, because that means I can feed them all and then put the lids back on so that the flies won't escape. All right, we just tap to make sure they go down, and then you'll see it's like a little machine here. I just sweep flies into there. I generally aim to, because I feed every day, I figure 2 flies for each container is enough. And oh, there's one that already escaped, so I just whisk him with a paintbrush into the container. And yeah, everybody's kind of sated, so they're not rushing to their food, but they will eventually consume them all. Get down. Yeah. No escapees allowed. You are dinner. The flies think they are so clever, and they make little jailbreaks, but I'm smarter than they are. At least I think. And I just tap them in. There, those 4 spiders are all fed. I got a bunch more here, but I won't make you sit through the entire service. But yeah, eventually they all get fed, and they're all happy and fat, contented. And yeah, the flies are running around in there. That's part of the presentation, is live flies running amok all around you, and eventually they stumble into your web, and then you leap on them and kill them. Yeah, it sounds brutal, I know. Okay, these guys go back in the incubator, just like so. All right, the adults get much roomier quarters. So here, what you see, these are these little Sterilite containers, approximately 6-liter containers. And the adults are individually put in each of these. And I'm just going to pop the lid there. And what you can see, maybe they're tiny, is I have these wooden frames in here. And let's see if I can get that in the field of view. Now you need the other end. Yeah, so there's a wooden frame, and on this wooden frame there's a spider right where I'm pointing, and he's all nestled down, or she, excuse me, this is a female spider. She's all nestled down in her cobweb, and you probably can't see this, but there's a very dense cobweb over there. Okay, we'll put her back in. Let me adjust this a little bit. Trying to make it so you can see what I'm doing, which is tricky. All right, here's our plastic cup of spiders, or flies once again. And once again, I just use a brush and flick them in. In the case of the adults, I throw in a few more. I throw in like 4 or 5 or 6. Because the space is so much bigger, they're going to be wandering around, and who knows when they'll get caught by the adult. Although you can see right now there's one fly that landed nicely in the cobweb and is struggling and is trapped there, and the adult just doesn't care. Oh, there, it got away. One other thing I do is you need a beverage. So here I have a little perfume atomizer filled with DI water, and what I'll do is I will just give her a little gentle misting of water, and she'll slurp it up off the silk of the cobweb. And that's it. That's the dining experience in the Myers lab. Okay, let's put her away. And I'm going to go on and I will feed the remaining spiders, the adults, and the remaining young ones. It doesn't take long. As you saw, it just takes a few minutes to flick a few spiders in there, or a few flies into the spider cages, and then the spiders do the rest of the work. All right, I hope that was fun and enlightening. I hope you've worked up an appetite. So I'm going to leave these to their breakfast. And I will just say, I will thank my loyal customers who pay for this service. The spiders get it all for free, but I've got a few people who are very kindly supporting my work and sending me a few bucks every month through a Patreon. You should sign up for that too. And that money all gets spent largely on legal debt. We're covering that lawsuit still. But otherwise, I'm hoping someday I'll have a little bit left over so I can start feeding the spiders with this money. So do help out if you can. Think of all the hungry spiders.